Great. Thank you, Christine. And thank you for the opportunity to present the progress in these three ISO technical committees related to critical materials. Um, as you mentioned, there's three. TC298 is focused on rare earth materials. TC333 is on lithium materials, and 345 focuses on materials for specialty technologies, which covers a wide range of materials in the critical material space. Next, please. So, the U.S. participates in these technical committees, and while the U.S. is present, we do require increased U.S. industry engagement in order to regain U.S. leadership in the standards for across the supply chain, the mining, extraction, separation and processing, traceability, analysis methods, labeling, packaging, recycle, and reuse of these materials. To give you an idea of the representation of the committees, the rare earth and the lithium committees have Standards Administration of China as the secretariat. The TC 345 is chaired by AFNOR in France, and ISO TC 82 Subcommittee 7 on Sustainable Mining and Mine Closure is chaired by South Korea. And as mentioned, the Critical Material or Mineral Coordination Committee is also chaired by France. And these, as the U.S. doesn't have a leadership position in the other committees, there is no U.S. direct participation in the Coordination Committee, although we do find out what's going on in those in that committee through indirect means. Next, please. To give an overview on the Rare Earth Committee, again, it's covering the full supply chain from mining and extraction through separation, processing, and conversion to useful materials, which are key inputs to manufacturing and further production. There are several working groups within the committee. Again, I indicate here the secretariat and who is leading particular working groups. It's notable that the Joint Working Group 6 on sustainability is chaired by, has a convener of the US. The other working groups focused on recycling, traceability and packaging, testing and analysis, and product specification have their convener nationalities listed. There have been 15 standards published by the committee, and 7 are under development, and 20 participating members, P members, who are able to vote on these standards with 20 observer countries. Next, please. Just give you an idea of the membership of the committee, which national standards bodies are participating. Pretty complete list. Next, please. In addition to the nations participating in the committee, there are a large number of liaisons with the Rare Earth Committee, both other technical committees being represented on TC 298 and representatives from TC 298 participating in other standards committees. And there are a number of liaisons with other organizations as well. So the European Commission and ECOS, International Lithium Association, and Open Geospatial Consortium, Rare Earth Industry Association are all represented on the activities of the committee. Next, please. In terms of the U.S. participation within the Technical Advisory Group, or TAG, we have a number of categories. There are general interest category, producers of materials who are represented on the tag, and public sector standards developing organizations that participate. And just give you an idea of who is participating in the tag. Next, I wanted to sort of break out all of the standards here, um, rather than listing them or in numeric order. I separated them on different categories. So there's a vocabulary, terms and definitions. There's a traceability section, an analysis, chemical analysis methods, as well as recycling and end of life of these rare earth materials. Just give you a sense of the number of 15 standards that have been published thus far. Next, please. So in the vocabulary term, there are two that were sort of the initial activities of the committee were to help develop the terms and definitions. Those were published in 2020, and there's a new standard being developed within the committee that is focused on praseodymium, neodymium, and there's a large number of other technical terms that are being defined within that specific standard. And so I wanted to include those in the vocabulary part because it's definitional for further activities. Likewise, in traceability, there's a number of standards that have been published from that working group, covering the upstream to sort of midstream traceability aspects, with a packaging and labeling standard as well. Next, please. The analysis working group has had the bulk of the activity in the committee. There's a large number of the sort of standard gravimetric methods used to analyze the rare earth materials, along with standards that are a little more precise in their characterization, ICP, OES, or compositional variations with X-ray fluorescence technologies. There are also three standards that are under development within the working group that look at these more filling the gaps, as it were, in trying to characterize the materials. And those are under discussion within the working groups, and will progress along the development chain in the ISO development timeline. Typically, it's about 3 years to develop a standard from when it starts. Next, please. In the recycling and end of life aspects, there are a number of standards that have been developed relating to information exchange and other types of methods to help characterize the end of life products. And there's a relatively recent development detailing specifications for short loop recycling of permanent magnet materials that's working its way through, in addition to some of the newer projects that are being discussed within the working group and will make their way into the committee as they do get developed. Next, please. I did want to highlight the Joint Working Group 6. This is it's hosted by TC 298, but it also includes experts from the TC 333 committee to get together to discuss rare earth and lithium sustainability across the value chains, their respective value chains. This working draft is proceeding and will likely advance to the committee draft stage in the near future. Likewise, there is a guidance document for data collection and validation that may be used for calculation of carbon footprinting for the rare earth materials. And this one is also at a committee draft stage, soliciting technical expert comment across the committees. Next, please. In terms of the upcoming activities, there is a plenary meeting scheduled in Delft at the end of August, early September. Within the scope will be plans to review the strategic business plan, which governs how the committee develops standards, looking to address gaps in supply chains and guiding future work for the committee. Primarily, given the nature of the standards that have been developed thus far by the community, the main users of these standards are manufacturers and testing labs. And in terms of opportunities for conformity assessment, as the companies develop their capabilities here, they will develop quality systems and achieve a certification for their testing methodologies in compliance with the ISO standards. We were asked to talk about inclusion by reference, and thus far, in the ISO system, when a standard has been out in the market for a number of years, I think it's every 5 years, we engage in systematic reviews of these documents to propose for whether they should be voluntarily adopted by a particular country. Thus far, the US has not incorporated any of the standards yet into the reference documents, for example, the Federal Register. But we continue to review these documents for their appropriateness and potential adoption nationally. Next, please. Switching gears to TC333 on lithium. Again, this is a standardization across the supply chain in lithium, from extraction and separation, conversion to useful products, covering the full range of precursor materials that go into battery systems or other industrial uses. There are a number of working groups within the committee. This is a committee that's chaired by Standards Administration of China. The U.S. does have the convener role in 2 of the working groups, an ad hoc group on analysis methods, and a working group 2 on chemical analysis for lithium hydroxide. The way the committee has been structured, it's divided into particular materials groups or applications. So there's lithium hydroxide, lithium carbonate, electrolyte materials, cathode materials, lithium chloride, and lithium mineral. There's also a working group on carbon footprint for lithium product. That's a relatively new working group that develops standards in coordination with the joint working group 6. So there's crossover of expertise on both of those working groups. The committee has only published 1 standard, that being the vocabulary document that was developed by Working Group 1, but there are 18 standards under development reaching the final stages. There are 23 P members to the committee and 12 observer countries. Next, please. So it just gives you an idea of the representation of the the member countries to the committee. Next, please. There are a number of liaison connections for the committee, both to the committee and from the committee. You'll see a lot of the similar connections that we had in the other Rare Earth Committee. But I would highlight there's a connection to the reference materials committee here, which helps develop new materials for use in the marketplace. Likewise, there's a organizational liaisons to the European Commission and the International Lithium Association here. Next, please. The U.S. tag for this committee, again, has similar sectors, general interest groups, producer interest, and public sector standard developing organizations that are participating within the tag to develop and comment on standards that are under development within the committee. Next, please. Excuse me. The TC333 will have its plenary meeting in Bolivia this fall. The plans are to discuss standards that are reaching the final stages of development or the inquiry stage. You can see there's a large number of standards in that range, so they'll be published in the near future, in the coming year, I would expect. Primarily in the lithium carbonate or the composite materials from the committee. Next, please. There are also a large number of standards that are in earlier stages of development, and those are still within the working groups or just in the committee for discussion, and those are being refined and will advance further along as the experts provide their suggestions and improvements for those standards. Next, please. Switching gears to ISO TC 345. Again, this is a relatively recent committee that was established 3 years ago. It focuses on the field of specialty metals, minerals, and materials used for particular applications, typically emerging technologies and renewable energy, and covers a wide range of standards needed for that community. You'll see the list of materials that are included: antimony, beryllium, cobalt, chromium, graphite, niobium, the platinum group metals, tantalum, vanadium, and zirconium. So it has a very broad scope of materials that are covered by the committee, and this is chaired by AFNOR, with France as the secretariat for the committee, and there are 3 working groups that are evaluating needed standards. The first 2 are ad hoc groups, platinum group and other metals and minerals, cobalt and antimony. And there's a formal working group for test methods for graphite material. And the 3 standards that are being developed are all within those, the working group 1 they're focused on graphite materials. There are 15 participating members and 17 observing countries to the committee. Thank you. Next, please. And this gives you an idea of who's participating in that committee. Next, please. Again, a number of liaisons, both to the committee and from the committee to other activities, trying to stay connected with any committees that may have adjacent standards being developed. Next, please. And the US tag to this committee, um, breaking them out into the general interest and producer interest and public sector fields. In terms of the producer interest, given the current standards being developed are focused on graphite, the U.S. industry participation is heavily weighted to the graphite. So there's an opportunity as the other standards develop for increased U.S. industry participation in the tag to help monitor and craft those standards as they get developed. Next, please. Um, this is the list of the standards that are being developed in the graphite working group. And there have been an initial drafts of all of these standards that have been reviewed by the working group experts, and a round of comment and suggestions for improvement to the working group. We'll have a scheduled meeting in the near future that would go over these comments and help discuss and resolve the comments to improve the drafts. Next, please. The next plenary meeting is in China in early September in Hefei. The plans at the plenary are to discuss the scope broadening, which was previously approved to include titanium ores and concentrates. This is in coordination with ISO TC 79. I think the intent here is to help develop sampling standards that could be used to help characterize and analyze those ores and concentrates. Likewise, the committee did previously ballot a new work item proposal to use ICP AES methods to determine platinum, palladium, and rhodium in automobile exhaust catalysts. I would note that the standard that was proposed is very similar to Chinese domestic standards that are kind of cover this space. So there's a strong similarity to those methods that are already in the marketplace, and the work of the committee or the working group will be to take those standards that have been proposed and make sure that they're globally relevant and apply, fit for purpose, broader than just a national standard, but have global relevance. So that'll be the work of that committee. And next, please. I think that was it. So thank you for the opportunity to present. If you have any questions about the work of those committees and how to join the tag, feel free to contact me. Thank you.